this week.
This book's a little bit thicker than the Rasputin one.
No, it's the same, I think. Was it? Maybe the writing's
Thicker writing or something.
But, okay, Che Guevara. Who was Che Guevara? Now, you learnt to pronounce it, right? And how did you remember? You told me the week how you remembered what his name was.
Che is like shake, and his surname is like guitar.
Right.
Shavara.
Okay.
But anyway, right.
Tell us what you know, and we'll ask.
Right. First of all, his name isn't really Che.
Right.
It was something else, and Che means buddy in wherever he's from, Argentina.
Okay.
Right. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. So anyway, he was born, and he was.
By the way, Carl's not reading this from a book now. This is all out of his own head.
This is not pre-planned notes.
No, this is. I mean, I know it sounds written, but he's just
Right, here we go.
Go on.
He was born. He had bad asthma as a kid.
Right.
Which I thought was quite interesting because they didn't have cars and that back then, and that's what they're blaming asthma on these days. The bad build-up of traffic and that.
Well, they did have cars, Carl.
Not as many as they have now.
Okay.
So that was something I picked up early in the story.
He had asthma. Yeah.
His dad was into he wasn't a politician or anything, but he was, they were into the politics.
Sure.
So he sort of grew up around a family who was into, watching the news and that and keeping up to date on what's going on in the world. So that sort of rubbed off on him. He went to school. He was doing stuff on medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wanted to be a doctor, or he thought he did.
Yeah.
Anyway, he learned really quick. He did like 6 months work in about 3 months, so he could have some time off school or something.
Right.
So he took that time off and went to travel South America with his mate.
Okay.
On a motorbike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he saw all this bad going on in the world, and he thought, oh, this is bad, this.
Yeah.
I could do something here. I could change this, make it a nicer place to live. So he said, what I'm going to do is join a gang that sort of is against the like the government.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Am I right so far?
Yeah.
You're doing very well.
Right. And the woman who he met, who was like running this gang, is a woman called Hilda, who he later married.
All right.
And Hilda introduced him to Castro.
Right.
Who was like the head cheese of the gang.
Right.
Who wanted to change things.
Okay.
And so she said, like, this is I think his real name was Engelbert or something like that.
Ernesto.
What?
Ernesto.
She said, this is Ernesto. He does medicine. Should have him in our sort of army. So when there's injuries and that, he can make people better.
Yeah.
So he said, yeah, all right then. So he joined the gang, and they went like went to sort of. I'm chopping it down a bit.
No, sure. You're condensing.
It's not in real time.
No.
So anyway, so they go.
It feels like it.
This is why I just wanted you to ask me questions.
Well, listen. Let's cut to the chase then. So, obviously, he made his name as part of the Cuban Revolution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what date that was?
About no, I don't.
Okay, and obviously, so he was a big involvement in that.
Yeah.
In which country was he caught?
He was caught in Bolivia.
Yeah. How did he die?
They executed him.
Yeah.
They shot him, and his last words before he died, right? The guy's there with the gun. And he wasn't scared. He wasn't like crying or anything. He said to the bloke with the gun, he said, "Go on, shoot me. Be a man."
Yeah.
He said.
Yeah.
And they shot him.
And did it tell you what happened to him after that? His dead body?
No, but Suzanne was telling me about this the other night. She said there's more to it than that. They stuck it in a glass coffin, didn't they?
Yeah.
Well, no, but before that, they cut off his hands and his feet
and sent them to.
No, and because they buried them in different places, and then they buried the body. I think they might have sent the hands to Fidel, but they buried him in an unmarked grave because they didn't want anyone to start using his grave or his tomb as a place of martyrdom. But of course, that just made him even more of a martyr because no one knew where he was buried. So it just meant that he was even more of a.
But that wouldn't work anyway, because if they did find out, that's more places people can go and sort of grieve. Do you know what I mean? If you've got all these different graves...
What, with different parts of his body?
Well, you've got a foot over there, and it's like, well, oh God.
His head over there.
Thanks for what you're doing.
Yeah.
So all in all...
essentially, what's your summary of Che?
Yeah, you like him more than Rasputin, don't you?
A lot better bloke than Rasputin. I can understand why he gets one of those little books. well worth knowing about, and good bloke, did a lot, you know.
Crammed a lot into his short life.
Yeah, but yeah, interesting bloke.
But just on the subject of Che Guevara, Steve called me up in the week because he was going through the duty log. We love the complaints on the BBC duty log, and someone had written in because one of the Blue Peter presenters was wearing a Che Guevara t-shirt. And what did the bloke say?
Yeah, this is a series of people can phone in and write and complain to the BBC about different things.
Why would you complain about wearing something?
Well, this was the thing. Is you complain about the best one. I mean, there's been some amazing complaints.
Oh, there's some great ones.
The best one, my favourite one that wasn't a complaint but was actually just someone had to phone in was what an excellent edition of Kilroy this morning.
Yeah, but there's lots of that. There's things like Esther was superb. Woman call one.
Woman called. There was a brilliant one I remember once, which was Robbie Williams was wearing a Nike T-shirt on Top of the Pops last night. Product placement on the BBC.
It's just all things like that. Yeah.
But anyway, this was one phone call. There was a presenter on Blue Peter. She was wearing a T-shirt with Che Guevara's face on it, and someone had written in and said, or someone had phoned in and said, very worried to see a presenter wearing Che Guevara's face on a T-shirt. Are you trying to turn my children into communist revolutionaries?
Yeah.
Imagine that. Imagine who's thinking that. Who's bothering to phone up with that information, Karl?
Yeah.
Who knows what they're going to say about this show?
Yeah.
I mean, you've been championing the work of communist revolution.
Luckily, no one listening to this show can either write or operate a phone, so I think we're pretty safe. So thumbs up for Che Guevara.
Yeah.
Well done to Karl there.
Yeah, no, I thought it was
I did
brilliant.
all right, didn't I?
But the thing is, you keep saying to us you don't understand why history's interesting, and yet you're clearly interested by that. You remembered that
Karl,
information.
I've got another. I've got a few in the series. Can I give you your next week's homework?
Go on.
There you go.
Oh,
Read it out.
Hitler.
Hitler, the life and times of Hitler.
1889 to 1945.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know much about him?
What was the significance of that last date? Why did he? What was the significance of that last date, Karl? Why do you think he died in 1945?
End of the war.
Yeah.
Which I'm interested in. So this.
Yeah.
This will have stuff about Anderson shelters and that.
It might not be covered in the Hitler biography, the Anderson Shelter, but
Just check if there was a special Anderson chapter. Anderson Shelter chapter.
Well, I'll look forward to this. Be interesting.
Powdered egg is page 4.
Yeah.
Now, we just had a call from someone impressed by Karl, and Karl's very pleased because this guy has actually done a PhD on Che Guevara. So in theory, whatever subject he chose, in theory, he's probably one of the experts in the world on this particular field. Now, hello, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hello, what's your name?
My name's David.
David, now where did you do your PhD?
Did it at UCL.
Did it at UCL, mild college. And what was the actual title of the PhD?
It was Che Guevara's influence on class struggle in Europe in the 60s.
And what did you think of Karl's performance?
I thought he did really, really well. The only thing I'd never heard those last words before.
So Karl actually knows something you don't know.
Yeah, possibly.
Although you presumably not take that as verified information. You probably wouldn't take everything Karl said as gospel. You'd probably look it up yourself, would you?
I probably would have a look, yeah.
Did you know about babies' eyes?
Sorry?
Did you know that babies' eyes don't grow?
I didn't know that.
You see, that's why you shouldn't take things Karl says as gospel, because it'll come out with something, you know, vaguely intelligent, and then say, "Did you know about babies' eyes don't grow?"
Any questions that you'd want to test Karl on? Any thoughts? Any things he missed there on the history of Che Guevara?
I think he did really well, and I think he should be congratulated.
Because Karl has problems with understanding why people are interested in history, and even though he's been reading these books, he keeps saying, "Why does anyone care about history? Why is it important?" What would you say to Karl?
I think he should maybe then look at who Che Guevara did influence and why he still influences people today.
Yeah. Well, he knows that he influenced Citizen Smith, and he knows that if McDonald's ever wanted to swap Ronald McDonald for Che Guevara, it would cost him an awful lot of money. So he is trying to apply it to the modern world. He is having a go.
Well, maybe you should think like why Rage Against the Machine have him on their T-shirts.
Good point, Karl. Why do you think of that? Why do you think they have him on the T-shirts, Karl?
I don't know. Maybe that was a design of the T-shirt. Maybe they wanted another T-shirt.
Maybe they wanted Ronald McDonald,
but didn't have any in.
Sure.
And they said, "Oh, we'll have that one there then."
Well, thanks very much. Dave, just before you go, do you think Karl would be an interesting subject for a PhD?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, well, if you know,
well, hopefully one day you'll become a professor, and you can maybe set that as some coursework.
I could do, yeah.
Karlpilkington. Imagine that.
Cheers, Dave.
Having an MA in Karlpilkington. Thanks very much, Dave.
Okay, bye.
Cheers, bye.
That's good. My teachers never did that.
What encouraged you in that way?
Never said well done. To
Really?
Yeah.
But you never showed up.
Yeah, they
but
you had to be in
was-
the same room,
They were
really.
too busy saying, "Who are you?"
yeah.
No, but Mrs. Matthews, me head teacher.
Oh, let's not lay into Matthews again.
Oh, not Matty
She
Matthews,
said
not
I'd
Grimble Matty Matthews.
I'd
we used to call
never
her.
be a high flyer.
If she could see you now. What'd she say? You'll never be a high flyer.
She said that to me, mum and dad,
Really?
on a parents' evening.
What did
And that was after I'd played the drums in Little Donkey.
She clearly didn't know what she was talking about.